Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Sessions with Courtenay Pollock. Hey, Courtney.
Hi, Heidi.
Thanks for joining, guys. Before we get started, I would love for you, Courtney, to tell us a little bit about that backdrop behind us.
Right. It's called Regeneration. Probably because it's so bright, lively. You know, it has verve, like vitality. It's, I can see it in the camera, of course. Yeah, it's obviously it's radiant because it has this ray sun around it. It's an intriguing kind of a deeper center, which has orange. It looks a little peachy from here. Unfortunately, I hung it so the back side is facing us. So the actual face side has a little more detail because the inside fold is the master fold. So I'll change it. Maybe not. It's a subtle difference. From here, you can't really see the detail difference. But anyway, regeneration. Of course, it's probably a early spring. Where the new energies are about to bloom into our lives, and so.
We can find that on your website, can't we?
It's on the website. Yeah. It's number 6922.
Courtney.
CourtenayTieDye.com.
There we go. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, go check out his website. He's got amazing pieces on there, and also if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, and I'll let Courtney take it away as we continue on with prison life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So last episode, I was going to go into the next stage of this ordeal of trial and tribulation, and in my case, it wasn't a trial because, as I said, you can't fight the feds. They're going to win no matter what. They got me for plants. Yes, that was against the law. They really shouldn't have been able to exercise that warrant. They actually got it on the strength of something that was other than me, which I won't necessarily go into, but it wasn't a big deal, except that the judge signed off on the search warrant under my name, even though it wasn't really got because of past stuff under my name. Kind of a gray area. In the final analysis, I'll get to that later, but so you spend time in the jail system until the courts have determined that you're going to go into prison. Now there was no judgment made, no sentencing, no nothing. I hadn't had a trial, which I wasn't going to get. I couldn't afford to fight them. The game plan was to wait until the DA just decides he wants to get that one off his books, off the desk, and in order to hopefully induce a settlement, lower the charges to. So which they did. They lowered the charges to 5 to 40 years. It's still, not good. 10 counts of 5 to 40? Ha! No. But they didn't do it right away. It was almost 2.5 years before I actually got the judgment. And but meantime, I've done, a number of months in the jails, and now the marshals came, I'm being transported to Sheridan compound, Sheridan, Oregon, federal compound, prison. It's a prison. It's a real prison, not just a jail. Now, a prison's like in a city, it's like you've got everything there pretty much, depending on the prison, but In my case, I was sent to this pre-trial facility, which is on the Sheridan compound. It's a few minutes, maybe 3-5 minutes drive from the actual prison, but it's pre-trial. So it's just one big building, and essentially, apart from the satellite offices of administration and the guards and all that stuff, the actual prison place is just one big room with the with cells around the bottom and a perimeter walkway around the upper tier of cells, and it looks down on the floor. And I think I got to that point somewhere, and I talked about the snitch walking up to my table on my first morning there, and getting him, to get the place locked down, and then they took him out. They moved him because now he's been determined to be a snitch, and he wouldn't be safe in there. So anyway, it's a far cry from the jails. Essentially, a jail, you're in a tank with anywhere from 20 to 40 guys in a tiny space, in bunks, and it's disgusting. But this is like, there's 300-400 people. Most of them, in my case, were Hispanics of different, from different countries south of the border, and some island people, and a few blacks from the islands, and they're all really nice guys. The Hispanics, for the most part, they're young, and you typically would be affiliated with a gang, and they do their best to break up gangs inside, because that's a disaster waiting to happen. You get a gang of guys and they revert to gang behavior. You isolate one of them away from the gang, and he's just an ordinary person. He may have learned some bad stuff and done some bad stuff, but on his own he's just a frightened kid. And so this was anything's a welcome change from the jails, but this wasn't great. You don't get outside. When I first got there, there had just been some kind of riot, and it was 23-hour lockdown in the cells. Not very good. Not good at all. I think I mentioned about the orderly retrieving these documents from the snitch, and me getting them to my attorney, who got them to the snitch's attorney, and the snitch had given up so many people that were on the books for this other attorney, and the act of doing that, getting those handwritten notes of all the people he'd given up to that attorney, saved a lot of good people a lot of grief, and the attorney I got him on my phone list, and he said he would take care of the California bust. He'd do his best to get that taken care of. So I'm in this holding. It's like a stasis. Now I get there, and that 23-hour lockdown was brutal, and it didn't last forever, but it felt like forever when it was lasting, because you don't know when it's gonna ease up. Eventually, by then I'd learned that that I'd met during the meal breaks. The head orderly was another grower who had gotten busted for I don't know, a dozen different grow-ups, and he basically got me on his crew, on the orderly's crew, and which got me out of the cell, which is great. And then he was due to be moved on to do his time in the real prisons, and I got the head orderly job, which of course is the top job. You have your own crew, you get the best pay. I mean, you get like 13 cents an hour. Some of the jobs are like 3 or 5 cents. And there aren't many jobs. There's like, you've got the orderlies, you've got the kitchen crew to go and help produce some meals, and you got the serving crew that serve the slop, and you got the laundry. There's not a lot of jobs. Amongst all those men, and most of them don't have any money. They don't have any money to get their toiletries or cigarettes or anything like that. I had money, although the feds had got everything they could get, and properties and everything, all my wealth. I had little bits of savings here and there, that gave me a small cushion that I could get my stuff, from the commissary. And but I was also making money. I had a job that actually paid enough for me to get extras without having to dip into my little account that a friend was holding for me. That if I needed money put on my books, it was my money, and he'd put it on for me. So I was better off than most of them in there, and I could pay them to do things for me, But I at that stage, I pretty much did everything for myself until I realized that it behooved me to employ other people that didn't have any money. It allowed them to get toiletries and basic things from commissary that otherwise they wouldn't have. And so, I'd have, one guy do my shoes, keep my shoes cleaned, and another guy, keep my cell, I like to do my own cell, but, do my laundry, there's little things, it's just, and I was in this pre-trial place for, it was almost 2.5 years before I was back and forth to court, for reasons that you don't need to be there, but that's the way the system works. The marshals come, you go and you sit in a cold cell with a hole in the floor for 10 hours in a paper suit, freezing, and then you finally get transported down to the jails. Then you spend another 12 hours in a drunk tank with all these puking, miserable street people. And you may finally make it to, a tank, and you go through that whole jail thing again, go to court, status hearing. You don't even have to be there. They put you in a cell, the whole thing is really uncomfortable. They keep you in the jail as long as they can for their per diem, which is like, $100, probably double that now, that the marshals, the prison system, the jail system gets from the federal system or from anybody that they're housing that's coming in for a court appearance. So they want to keep you as long as they can, and in these terrible conditions. Finally, I get back to the big pre-trial place, and for the most part, they'd held my cell as the head orderly, which was the top corner, and I had it on my own, and my crew and my job, and typically they, it was only a few days, but they try to keep you down as long as they can, and my attorney would have to, pull the levers and get me out every time, and it's just a game they play, because they don't care about there's no people, it's all just numbers and money. And so life goes on. So now that holding facility didn't have any sports, weights. They had no facility at all for physical culture or outlets of any kind. You just got the floor, which is used as a dining hall or a social area, and there's a couple of TV rooms. One's for blacks and one's for whites, and the browns, which is usually the majority always in that side of the country, would basically monopolize the one TV room, and the other one is, I could care less about the TV. It's just garbage. I would rather be in my cell with my books. But so we would improvise ways to keep fit. Now I had my yoga routine I could do in my cell. If you got a cellie that's, about your own size, you can do you can put your upper body on the lower bunk with your feet branched out, and you're doing a bridge, and he'll stand on your hands, and you can do push-ups with him. You can do bench presses with him, you know. And if you can't take the whole weight, he can help himself up on the top bunk, you know. And you know, but that's not for everybody. And then I got so that I could do handstand push-ups, which means you go into a handstand against the wall, and then you can, you know, do push-ups, go down and, you know, touch your forehead on the ground. And that's, you know, that's not easy. And you improvise ways to keep fit. And the other thing, you get, you know, broom handles or mop handles, and you put a bucket of water on either side, and you can do your, you know, you can do stuff, you know, but it's pretty sloppy, buckets of water, but, you know, you do what you can, and pull downs. Somebody would hold the towels, you know, the ends of the towels, and you get the middle, and you do pull downs, and then you change places, do another set. Hold it while he does pull downs, and, you know, it's like silly things. It seems silly, but, you know, those improvise, and get between two chairs and do, you know, those, you know, kind of not shrugs, dips. Do the dips. The dips are difficult, and you can do them on your bunk too, but they're not quite as good. You know, you got to figure out all this. But I had this routine where you know, my routine. You do pyramid push-ups. Pyramid push-ups is you do one push-up, you get up, you do a, you know, you get down, do another one. You do it all continuous motion. You know, 3 push-ups. You go up to 25 and back. How many push-ups is that? 625. 625 push-ups. You wouldn't think it. Yeah, it's just 25 push-ups. You know, who can't do that? 625 push-ups. And it's pretty impressive, actually, when somebody hears it, they go, ha, you know. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's go. It's called pyramids. Go up to 25, and then you go back down to 24, 23, you know. Most people can't get to past about 18 on the way up, let alone get to the top and go all the way back down again. You know, it takes quite a bit to do 625 straight push-ups like that. Real push-ups. I don't mean, you know, like a frog. Anyway, so all these ways to improvise, you know, keeping fit and running on the spot, you know, doing just shadow boxing for me, you know, keep my reflexes up, and, you know, stuff. You could work out with somebody that knew their stuff, you know, but you know, you can't be seen doing that. You look like you're fighting. And you know, life goes on. For the most part, I would be able to choose my own crew for the people to keep the place. My deal with them was to, okay, I'll keep the place spotless. And but I want to keep the top corner cell because it's the quietest, and I'm the only one in there until the place is absolutely full. And that's the deal. And I get to choose my own crew because I want to, you know, people that are going to work. One time, you know, the admin comes along. You got a new guy on your crew. I said, who is it? I haven't proved anybody. He said, no, it's this new character over there, and this black guy about my age. You know, he's long and lean and mean, and obviously he's been around a bit. And I went, he's not gonna work. He said, well, he pulled all the, you know, the black cards. You know, they got so many black cards, you know, that they can pull. It makes life difficult for us. You know, he knows the whole system. He's on your crew. I said, well, I don't want to have to carry him, but I'll give him the easiest job. So first morning, and I said, well, you know, we got 5 cells. You guys take those, you know. And then there's one cell. I said to the new guy, I said, you just clean that cell out. You know, it's not a big job. You don't tell me what to do, Whitey. You know, I'll just fucking kill your ass. And I was like, well, here's how it works. In here, we're all a level playing field, you know. There's not really a hierarchy. It's just like, in order to stay on this crew, you have to do some work, and that gets you out of your cell. Otherwise, you're locked in, you know? So in order to be out, you really want to just kind of, work with us. You know who I am? I said, it doesn't matter who or what you think you are. In here, it doesn't mean anything. I've been in the system 50 years. I said, yeah, it looks like it. And he says, I said, what do you do? He said, I'm a jacker. I said, a jacker, really? I said, what does that look like, He said, I find out where there's a drug deal going on and there's cash going to be there. I go in and kill them all, take the cash and the drugs. I was like, wow, how's that working for you? I said, welcome home. And he's like, look at me. Nobody speaks to me like that. Why do you, I said, bring it on. I said, okay, bring it on. It looks like you can take care of yourself, we're about the same age, it's fair, come on, bring it on right now. And he goes, seriously? And I said, yeah, seriously, right now. And he went, all right, man, we're going to get along just fine. He says, okay, I got your back. I said, okay, meanwhile, can you clean that cell over there, please? And he went, yeah, well, I won't do a good job. I said, well, whatever you do, just put in the time, eh? I said, I'm going to mop this whole floor. I said, why the hell are you going to do that? And I said, because it's a workout for me, keeps me in shape. And then I'm going to buff the whole thing shiny. And then, it'll be like new again. And little by little, and it didn't really take that long, people, they think they're going to get back at the man by disrupting things, shitting on their own doorstep. And I said, you're not you're shitting on my doorstep and everybody else in here. And this is your home while you're here. Isn't it so much better to have everything clean and orderly and make your home, our home, as nice, as good as it can be, and respect each other, have clean clothes, keep yourself, have some respect. And the word got around, and the men responded, and it was wonderful to see, and I did it everywhere they moved me to, and it actually worked. People started to respect, holding their heads up, being in clean uniforms, and keeping, it's like such a transformation. And sure enough, this old black dude, he would watch my back when in the dinner line, when they got, utensils out there and stuff, because there's always somebody looking to take you down to get, maybe get your job. I did get death threats, that were pushed under the administration door, not under mine. They didn't push it under my cell door. It was the administration. The doors are pretty tight. I just got to add a little thing in here. Now you're in your cell. You haven't got anything, but you've got water and you've got a toilet, right? But you don't, have anything else. So you can't make coffee or anything like that. If you have coffee, you like some, instant coffee crystals or something. But there's a trick. You slide a piece of paper. You fold a piece of paper in half and you slide it in the door, and then the guy on the outside, the orderly, he can pour hot water into that. It makes a funnel, and you can catch hot water in your beaker, through a closed, locked door. There's these little tricks you wouldn't think, who would have thought of that, It's kind of interesting. Anyway, this guy, actually did watch out for me. And eventually he got moved on real quick. He'd done half his adult life inside. And he was really hardcore, and I was like, he didn't know anything else. He grew up rough, and I was like, wow, I'm so fortunate in the life I've enjoyed. There's people that have, more and better, but there's people that have really got spoiled life, that had everything. They're not necessarily better. In fact, most of them are just like useless. Yeah, I know some that aren't, but most of the born with a golden spoon or silver spoon, no. Anyway, so not that I wanted to be inside with all these other guys or anything like that, but it was it was heart opening in a lot of ways. You got to protect yourself in so many ways inside and be really isolated, and you don't talk about your personal life or your crime or anything like that. It's survival. You don't allow anything out that could be used against you. People make deals with whomever in order to get a little time off or to make some advantage for themselves somehow. It doesn't matter what, but if there's a grain of anything in there that they can use against you to get advantage for themselves, they will. And then so you don't talk about anything. You can talk about the cosmos. You can talk about woodwork. You can't talk about anything really meaningful, which is that's okay. And in my case, I just was biding my time to get to a place where the DA just wanted to get rid of this case, write it off, make a deal, and and there were a lot of things that happened in that cage, over that long time, and it's an interminable time. You don't know when things are going to get to a point where you go to court for the final judgment, and what your life is looking at. I'm still looking at potentially 400 years, which seems so ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but basically they would carry all 10 counts as one. But even then, 5 to 40 is like, if they don't like you, for any reason, you got 40 years, you're not going to survive. Even at my age, I was already I was 52 when I went in. Bloody hell. And anyway, it's and all that time, I'm still looking at, even if I got out of the federal thing, the judgment from the California, would, for that second count, now they're making it a third strike, would be life without possibility of parole. So even if I got out of the feds, they hand me over to the California state, life without parole, some, terrible dungeon, like, doesn't bear thinking about. And, but eventually, the time passes. There's a lot of things that happen. I mean, it's cruel in there. People, it's crazies. There's people on really heavy dope, that are, doped up to keep them, because they're psychos. They can't control themselves. They get some obsession. They want to go after that person. I had one, this big white guy that was completely loony. He was such a psycho. He was on such heavy meds, and he was like, and I go, fuck off, and the admin would say, man, that guy, he could go crazy on you. I said, I could take him in a heartbeat, just because he's big, I'm a man of steel, I work out 5 hours a day. And he went, I don't know, man, when those crazies go off, you wouldn't, they go really crazy. And then I got the death threat that slipped under the admin door from this guy. He wanted my job, that's all it really was. He wanted to get me removed, which they called me in, into the admin office and say, well, we've had a death threat against you, so we're going to put you into protective custody and you're going to be in isolation for the next 3 months. And I was like, fuck off. Excuse me. When in Rome, you have to speak like the Romans. I said, no way, bring it on. Who is this guy? Well, of course, we don't know who it is. I said, I'll find out. I said, give me a few hours, I'll know exactly who it is. And I said, meanwhile, I'm going to sign a waiver, anything you want. I'm taking the responsibility. Again, you want to do your due diligence and protect me from this potential death threat. And I'm saying, I'll handle it myself and I'll sign that. Right? What are they going to do? So they brought on a piece of paper and I signed it. And I go back to and I think about it, and I go, and within 10 minutes I'd figured out who this was. And it was one of the barbers that figured that, he wanted all the benefits that I had. And he was one of the only people that really knew certain things, that the way he worded his, anyway. So he got transported. He disappeared. He was put in isolation and then probably moved. And I got to stay up. But those lily-livered, they were, they were going to save any responsibility. They just locked, me up, or, one of their top guy that was, keeping everything running smoothly, just in case of some liability against, Now I can see the point, but, it just doesn't make any sense. Why don't they just go after, finding the culprit, which after I fingered it, and they figured it out, and he admitted to it, because his writing was, that it matched, and he admitted to it. I just wanted his job. Even if, I got taken away, he wouldn't have gotten my job. But those silly things like that come up, and oh, we're over 30 minutes.
Wow.
Golly, when you're having fun, time flies.
I know, totally. That's great, Courtney. Wow. The stuff that you went through, I couldn't even imagine.
I really only remember the really positive stuff. I'm not that it sounds that positive, but, there's some, but, life is, I've had some terrible tragedies and downtimes and stuff like that, but typically I only remember the great stuff, stay positive, because otherwise, my glass is always at least half full.
Yes, and we should fill our glass again.
Right.
Okay, thanks for joining us, guys. Remember, like and subscribe.
Thank you.